Good morning. Good morning. This morning, a star-studded entrepreneur coming from Brazil to America, starting a photography business. Nataly Gillihan. I've really liked a lot of her content and how she's bringing these special moments to people. I mean, what's better than a good family photo, right? So we're going to learn so much about Nataly's journey, who she is, and then see how it can relate to you in your own endeavors. Enjoy the morning show, friends. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. And give a warm welcome to Nataly Gillihan. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Hi, Tanner. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so glad to be here and share my experience with you all.
Yeah, I got to give it to you. You're quite the badass. It's been really cool to get to know you. Kind of maybe we can start out with a little fun fact of like, where are you from? How are you here today? Just kind of give us some backstory.
Okay, so I am from Brazil. I am from São Paulo. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. And I decided to move to United States back in 2019. I always kind of had the feeling that once I was done with college, I would move somewhere and kind of start, a new life and experience new things. So I went to college for psychology back in Brazil, and I graduated in 2019. So after a week of my graduation, I moved to United States. I came here as a exchange, like I was part of an exchange program. So you basically come as a nanny and you work and live with the family. So you're responsible for taking care of their kids, and you have to study something. But you also have a pretty free schedule to travel and, making new friends. So I kind of decided to jump in this experience, and the craziest part of it was I didn't know how to speak English. My English was very basic. So I kind of just did something crazy, and I was like, okay, I'm moving to a country that I don't even know how to speak the language, but I'm just going.
Yeah.
And it was very scary. I was young. So I was like ready for it, but at the same time, I was like, am I doing the right thing? Leaving family and friends and everything behind and kind of starting fresh by myself.
Yeah.
So it was definitely one of the craziest thing I ever did, but I'm so grateful I did.
Yeah. So you joined this. You said it was an exchange program to be a student, but you were kind of a nanny. Was the work and your school separated? How did that program really work? What was that?
Yeah, so it's basically a program that you have to study something, and you can choose anything you want. So since I didn't know how to speak English that well, I was like, well, I'm gonna, find a nice English school and kind of start from there. So my schedule with the first family was very chill. I had a lot of availability in the afternoons. The kids were older, so they were not as dependent. So I would study English like 3 times a week. I started with like a speech class and then a reading class, which helped me a lot. But I will tell you that the daily life definitely was like a must for me to learn the language. So
this learning the language, I've heard that English can be a real pain in the ass. Not that learning any language is easy. Who did you go through for that? Did they have resources that they gave you, or were you doing that all on your own? How do you even go about that?
So There were a couple like community colleges. I was living in California back then,
Yeah.
by San Francisco. So I had like a LLC, which was like a lady that was responsible for me in the program, and she would give me all the instructions and all the information I needed to know about. The host family was also responsible for me, so if I needed, any resource, or if I had any questions, if I needed any help finding a school that was a good fit for me, I had all those people I could contact, and we would go from there. So I started studying in a community college, and then I stayed there for about 6 months before COVID hits. And then we went from in person to online, but I kept going. And I think I did it for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So that was very important to me.
This man, you came. So what was the timelines again? So you came to America, and then how long before that was COVID? That'd be quite a. I'm glad you were here before that happened. But like, what were the timelines with that, and what kind of impact did that have on you and learning English and stuff?
So I got here in August of 2019, and then the
Mm-hmm.
quarantine started basically March of 2020. So I
Yeah.
had a couple months to kind of like, travel, meet people, and learn a little bit about things. But it was definitely hard. I was scary at the beginning. I mean, we didn't know anything about it. So
Yeah.
I was pretty tense because, my family and my friends were all over and, in the other side of the world. And then I was just here with like a family that wasn't mine and just a couple
Yeah.
friends. So it was definitely hard, I think. But once things started to like open up, I would see my friends and, try to um, be as present as possible with people. And then
Mm-hmm.
we had to move the classes online, which wasn't a big deal. We kept the same schedule and everything. We just kind of just moved it to Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
same day, same time. So I
Yeah.
mean, it was hard because like when I would go to classes, I would connect with people from all over the world, and that was really fun. So
Yeah.
when you do that online, there are always like the difference that it's not the same. It's not the same human connection that you get in person.
Totally.
So I think that was the hardest part for me, like not getting as much human connection. Everything was online, everything was on my phone, and I was like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. This so are you, now that we've really shifted a lot of like whether it's like business and things and doing a lot of things in the online world, and I do appreciate it. It does have its conveniences. Are you, when it comes to taking classes though, so you, are you more, would you rather do a class in person or online? What's your preference?
I think before COVID, I would say in person 100%. But then I feel like after COVID, we do a lot of things online nowadays, which is also really convenient because like you don't have to leave your house in order to go to college or,
Yeah.
to work. So I think this is really good, especially if you have kids or a busy schedule, like that save you a lot of time. So I think
Mhm.
speaking for myself today, I would say 50-50,
Mhm.
because now like I have my own life, I have my own house, so like I have my own
Mhm.
space, my own privacy, so I feel like I'm more ready for that. But in the past, I was living in somebody else's house. I was younger, I was still learning how to adapt from like the in-person life to the online life.
Totally.
So yeah, I think like I would say 50-50 to from today.
It's like, yeah, I mean, balance is always nice. This, so bidding in with the program, so you go from Sao Paulo to California. Did you like win a lottery? Is that like something anybody can do? Do you have any friends who have done that? Like, how'd you even like get the courage to like do something like that, or the desire?
So since I was like in high school, I always had the feeling, and I don't know why, but I always had the feeling that like my life was not in Brazil. And people
Yeah.
would call me crazy. They were like, "No, I think it's just a phase you're going through. You're just young." I was 15, 16.
Hmm.
So I don't think people actually believed me when I said what I said. And so I was like, since I was really young, I was trying to find ways to move to another country that wouldn't cost like a lot because exchanges
Yeah.
can be really expensive.
Totally.
So I searched it a lot. I looked it up, like coming through a college or coming through a English school. Like you have multiple different options to get a visa to come here or to another country. And then
Hmm.
one day, a friend of mine said something about this au pair program, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. Like, I never heard of it. I'm just going to take a look and see how much it costs and everything. So I kind of
Yeah.
did a little research. There are multiple companies that offer the same service. I found one that I kind of liked better. And then you have to go through an interview. Um, there's like a pretty big process. I would say it took me about a year to get everything figured out.
Yeah.
Um, and then once you go through the interview, if you're accepted, they need to make sure you have a profile to take care of kids, right? Because that's not something for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so I passed the test. I passed the English test somehow. Um, and then you have a pile of documents that you have to provide to the company. Um, and then the visa process, which could be long, could take about 4 to 5 months
Yeah.
depending on how busy they are. So it was a
Right.
pretty stressful and long process. But and then once you're accepted, you stay online in this platform, and then families can contact you. You can't search for families, but they can search for you. And
Okay.
then they send you like a invitation to talk, and then you can see
Mhm.
their profile, see what they how many kids they have, where do they live, stuff like that. And then it's up to you if you want to talk to them or if you want to decline. And then we usually talk through like video chats, and we go from there. If they like you, then you get a
Yeah.
match.
This it sounds kind of, yeah, just, I'm sure, intimidating on both sides. Someone coming
Absolutely.
from another country, you going to America and like getting in there. Did did you talk to a lot of families, or did you just talk to a couple and like, oh, California, that sounds crazy? Or like
um
what made you pick there?
So actually, California was my last option to move.
Really?
I knew it was a pretty cool state, and I wanted to visit it. It was
Hmm.
just very expensive, like people said, and
Totally.
I was like, maybe not. So I was looking to families in Chicago actually,
Hmm.
because my biggest plan with this exchange was get my master's degree.
Yeah.
I went to college for psychology, and I was obsessed with criminal psychology.
Oh, cool.
So I looked it up some colleges in Chicago, and I liked it. So I was like, I want to find a family in Chicago. That way, I can work and maybe study English, and then possibly in the future apply for my master's. That was my
Hmm.
like biggest plan. But I was not getting families from Chicago. I was getting families from a lot from New York, Florida, Utah, California. And
Yeah.
then I got to the point I was like, okay, like maybe I won't be able to get a family where I want, but I want to make sure I get a good family. And
Yeah.
then this family reached out from California. So,
Hmm.
and we really liked each other from the first time, and we talked
Hmm.
multiple times. And then they
Hmm.
wanted to match, and I said, okay, let's do it. I mean, it is what it is, right? So we matched, and then from there, you can kind of decide when you're going, when you're available to go, and yeah, you pack and you leave. It's that simple.
Do you just bring like a bag? Do you bring anything else? Just clothes
Yeah,
or?
yeah. So I brought like two big suitcases, which was a big
Yeah.
mistake. But
Uh-huh.
I tried to bring clothes and then, some personal stuff that would not
Yeah.
make me feel as homesick. But
Yeah.
I ended up like buying a lot of stuff here. But yeah, you can bring whatever you want. You don't have like a limit or anything.
Yeah. Just don't show up with like a ute haul to this
Right.
family with a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
Moving in, folks. That's too funny. You well, getting settled and kind of working with the family. I'm curious. So you you were studying in, you said you got your bachelor's in Brazil?
Yes.
And have you, now that you've kind of taken and been in the class environment in America, does it feel the same, or is there differences, or what's going on with that?
So I got my degree there, and as I said, I moved to here intentionally to get my master's, but I ended up never getting my master's because my life got crazy. Took me to
Mhm.
multiple different ways that I ever thought I would go.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm really grateful I did get my master's just because, like, I think psychology is one of the coolest things you could possibly study.
Mhm.
Um, I ended up doing photography, which is completely different. So I never really got the chance to follow my career with that. But I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, like I'm very open and I like to do different things. So maybe in the future I will go back to that. I mean, who knows?
I feel like there's some overlap between like your like learning psychology and then just communicating with people, understanding people. What's some stuff that you learned while studying psychology that you kind of use in day-to-day life, you think?
Um, Honestly, I learned a lot. I can tell you I was not the same person when I left college. It was definitely a journey. I learned um, a lot of stuff that I can also apply for my personal life. So, like living without fear. Fear was something that always kept me in a box. My
Totally.
mind would go super far away, and I would be like, wow, I would love to do this. I would love to do that. But then I would look to myself and be like, but I can't. It's like you kind of feel trapped into
Yeah.
yourself. So
Yeah.
that was definitely something that helped me kind of like break this fear and be like, okay, if I want to do this, I will do it. And that's okay if it doesn't work out. I tried. I
Mhm.
think I can tell you that I feel more brave to experience new things. And, you know, um, I think my self confidence also uh, grew a lot. I was always a very insecure person at the point that sometimes I wouldn't even talk to people because I was that insecure. So I think I read so many books, and also my degree put me in therapy, which is important to everybody.
Yeah.
And with therapy, I learned a lot about myself,
Yeah.
a lot about my journey, because you're young, you have dreams, you have plans, and then some people they kind of just get stuck into that, and they don't really
Yeah.
know how to take the first step.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like I would say, a year of being trapped, not knowing what to do, where to start.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that definitely helped me kind of clear my mind and be like, okay, let me put my goals in a paper and see where I can start first and go from
Yeah.
there. So yeah.
What's any advice you'd have for some people who, I mean, this is a common dream, whether it's even just, going from Brazil to California, or like just people. Well, I'm from a small town, and you know this, and like even just going to like a bigger state or a bigger city. Any advice for people who like want to make a move or want to make change, like what they should be looking into themselves for?
I think the first thing you should be looking at is, of course, have a plan because that's very important. So a financial plan,
Yeah.
right? Because like, can I pay for this? Where do you want to go? Um, and then the psychological part of it, I would say, do not let your fears stop you. Do not let your insecurities stop you, or even people. I mean, some people are not going to support you as much. It is what it
Yeah.
is, right?
Hmm.
So if you feel like it, if you feel this is your dream and this is the right thing for you, do it. Just do
Yeah.
it. Sometimes we can't think too much. If you have a plan,
Yeah.
if you're ready to go, do it. That's all I have to say, because like I kind of did that with myself, and it was very scary, and that's okay. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to
Yeah.
feel, oh my gosh, this is gonna work. But at the end of the day, any experience in your life will bring you positive things and negative too, which is also very important. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this, I'm sure you're like you've in your psychology studies, just reading lots of books. It's usually not the things that we do that we regret, but the things that we don't do. That
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful. This is a random question, and so I'm not bilingual. English straightforward, not even really that good at that. But so bilingual. When you have like internal dialogue, like thoughts going on in your head, is that in your native language, or are your internal thoughts in English now? Is this a dumb question or
Oh, it is actually a very interesting question. I
yeah?
had people ask me that before, and I even asked myself, because I've been living in the United States for 4 years now.
Uh-huh.
Um, so at the beginning, it was horrible because like I would think in Portuguese and try to translate to English, which
Uh-huh.
would take me, it would take me a while.
Yeah.
So my speech was really slow. But living here for this long, and then most of the people around me are Americans. I don't really speak Portuguese as much. I kind of got used to the English, so like I will think in English, I will talk in English, and I sometimes I dream in English too. So that's kind of funny.
Really?
Like
Okay.
I
Yeah.
started forgetting my native language, and so like my parents are staying with me for a little bit, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes I'm going to speak Portuguese, and I'm like, okay, how do I say this? How do I say that? You know what I mean? Like you ended up
Yeah.
forgetting it because you don't use as much. So it's pretty funny.
Right. Use it or lose it. That's wild. This
That
while so you came here and were you like talking to friends and family back home a lot? Like just like FaceTiming them, or were you pretty much just on your own separated, or how are you kind of communicating with loved ones when you're making such a big change?
Yeah, I would at the beginning, like I was feeling very lost. It's a big change. It's total different culture, time zone, food. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to process. So I would say at the first couple months, I would talk to family and friends pretty often. I would say almost every day, if
Mhm.
I had time and energy for it, because I was still, learning a lot of things. I would get tired very fast.
Mhm.
Um, but I would call by FaceTime. Most of it was all FaceTime.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm the only child, so you can imagine like how difficult it was for me and my parents to kind of
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah. Totally.
Um, so like I tried to be close to family and friends as much as I could. Um,
Mhm.
and we have the technology nowadays, which really helps. Because back in the times, I mean, you would have to write a letter to somebody, and
Yeah. A
and that
letter for
that's the
sure.
best you could get.
Yeah.
So I would say that, and then once I started feeling more comfortable um, with my life and this new journey, then I
Mhm.
would space a little bit more, just so like I wouldn't get as homesick, because that
Mhm.
could kind of like, I don't know, make things more difficult, or I would like socialize less with people around me because I wanted to talk to my family. So it was a little bit rough, but I survived.
Talk to again, congratulations to you and your husband. You're married now in America, and did you guys get married in Arkansas?
Yes, so we got married in Chicago, like in the court, and
Oh,
then
okay.
just the ceremony was in Arkansas because like
Huh.
my husband's had family there,
Yeah.
and it was Thanksgiving, so we're gonna be together anyway, so we decided to kind of just like do the ceremony there.
Uh-huh. This who would have thought you would be doing a wedding ceremony in Arkansas in any place in the
I
world?
would
Yeah,
never think
right.
that.
That's
That's
so
why
funny.
life is wild.
So you talked about visas a little bit and getting to so you're married now. Are you a US citizen? How does all that stuff work? That's got to be a total. I've heard only horror stories of people trying to like just be able to work here and get citizenship. And how does are you familiar with the process? I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty big process, very stressful, very expensive. So once you get married, you have to apply for a green card,
Mhm.
which for me took about a year and a half.
Damn.
Um, yeah, it's a long process. They take a long time to reach back to you, like the immigration office. There are 1,000 of documents that you have to provide.
Yeah.
And in my case, I had to translate all of the documents to English, which was a
Yeah.
process too. And then you go through a couple of
Yeah.
applications, and then they have to accept. So it's like a process made of steps.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the last step is a interview with the immigration, and they can decide if you're approved or not. So it took me about a year and a half to finally get approved because I started my process in Chicago and I finished in Arizona with
Hmm.
my camera kind of. Sorry.
Oh, you are all
Um,
good.
so I I ended up my process in Arizona because I moved on the way. So yeah, it's very stressful. You cannot work until you have your work permit. So legally you're not allowed to work, which
Yeah.
made things very hard and it was very tough.
Yeah.
And then once I got my work permit, I that's when I decided to start doing photography, doing something. I was like, oh, what can I do to kind of like make some money, but also something I like.
Hmm.
I applied for jobs, but back then it was really hard to get a job.
Hmm.
So all of that was really, really, really stressful. And then once you get your green card, you are not considered a citizen. You have about 3 years to keep the document, and then after 3 years, you have to apply again. And then the second one will last for 10 years. And after, I think it's after 3 years and a half to four, being a green card holder, you can apply for the citizenship test, which is
Wow.
some people say it's easy, some people say it's not. So I really
Yeah.
don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And after that, if you pass, then you're a citizen. Then you can, you can have the same rights. You can vote. I think the only difference between a green card holder to a citizen, it's like I can vote if I want to.
So you were okay coming in here, and you have this test coming up. Do you know when you have to take this test? Have they contacted you about that? Do you just take it whenever you want? How does that even work?
So I have to wait a year and a half in order to apply for the citizenship test.
Hmm.
So in 2025, I have to apply for my second green card, which will be another process.
Yeah.
Um, and they do not contact you about the citizenship. It's up to you. Some people stay here and they ended up not taking the test. Some people ended up taking the test. So it's totally up to you. But like, if you're planning on living here for the rest of your life, you might as well. That way
Yeah.
you can be done dealing with immigration, and it's also a lot of money that you put towards those documents. So I
Yeah.
will be applying as soon as I can, that's for sure.
So say if you go to like Europe or something like that, is a green card totally fine from going from like the United States to like Europe to back to the United States? Do you have to stay here for the entire period of having your green card, or how's that work?
So if you want to have the freedom to travel, for example,
Mm-hmm.
use your green card. For example, in my case, my green card took about a year and a half. So I was stuck here for a year and a half, right? Like if I left the country, I didn't have a document to come back. So that was
Yeah.
very, very hard.
Yeah.
But if you have the card, you can travel normally. You just have to leave in the United States. If you don't leave here, if you're, for example, applying and you got the card and you move somewhere else, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to reapply. Sorry.
Wow.
So in order to get the document, you have to be living here. However, you can travel if you want to.
Oh, wowza. So, okay. There's folks, this is a very interesting process, long, lengthy. I think it's just something so easy to take for granted to just, boom, I was just plopped out here and it's pretty easy, smooth going. But you don't really see the day to day, the pains in the butt and like the anxieties behind it, the paperwork behind it, just like getting all your paperwork translated from one language into another. Like who the heck do you even call for that? But no, this you've been so you need to make some money now, and you can't just. One of the things about America is people like money here, and
Yeah.
you got to pay to play, and so you're being a nanny, going to school, moving around, and then you wanted to do something. So you started a photography business. Did you have any other jobs before you got into photography, or did you dive head into it?
So I stayed as an au pair for about 2 years and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I think I'm done taking care of the kids. I kind of needed some time for myself. It's very energy draining, and the money was not the best. So I was like, I'm just gonna leave the program, change my visa to tourist, and
Mm-hmm.
do something new. Um, Back then, I was dating my husband. We're living together. We moved together right after I left the program, and then we got married not long after that. So I was not allowed to work, which was very rough. So before I left the program, I made sure I had some money on my savings to kind of like,
Totally.
you know, pay my bills and support myself through the next couple years because I didn't know what was coming.
Yeah.
My husband also supported me when I needed. So once I got my work permit, I was already living in Arizona. So we moved
Yeah.
from Chicago to Arizona in
Mm-hmm.
2022. Um, and then I was allowed to work. We live in I would say, small to medium town. Um, and always liked to be living like around nature. That's something that
Totally.
inspires me so much, like my mental health, my physical health, like my happiness, everything. I'm a person that I need to be around nature, and that's why
Totally.
I got out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Um, so then when I got here, I was like, I want to do something, but I didn't know what to do. And I never really liked the idea to work for somebody else. I don't know. I even tried and I applied for jobs and I did a couple interviews, but like I never saw myself sitting in an office.
Yeah.
Um, it was kind of hard to like fight against that because I needed money, I needed a job.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what can I do? Like, think about it. So I always really liked photography. I always did photography, like landscape photography for fun, for as a hobby. I always liked
Mhm.
the editing part. And I kind of always just like taught myself how to do it. Like I never really went to school or, I'm just curious. Like if I have a question, I go on YouTube and I learn it. So
Yeah.
I
Classic.
I I never spent $1 learning photography. Um, so then I moved here, and one day I was scrolling on Facebook Market, and I saw somebody selling a camera, very basic, simple camera. And the camera came with 3 lenses, so it would be a great start.
Mhm.
And it was a pretty good deal. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy this camera. I don't know, I just kind of felt like it. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy this camera and then I'm gonna learn, the ABCs of a camera.
Yeah.
And I will start offering like free photo shoots just to kind of like learn, see how the market goes.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing, if I'm being completely honest. But I like to put myself in situations like that. I mean, you know.
Clearly. Yeah. You're here doing it. You're grooving, girl. You got it. Yeah.
So I started like posting. So I joined a bunch of groups on Facebook from my town.
Yeah.
And I started posting like, hi, like I want to start a photography business. I'm offering free photo shoots so I can build my portfolio. And surprisingly, a lot of people reach out back. I got a
Yeah.
lot of messages and I got my first couple clients. I mean, I didn't make any money, but like I did have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So I started my business like that. And then after, I would say like a couple months, maybe 2, I decided to start charging like a small fee because I was like,
Mhm.
okay, like I learned something. So, I deserve to make
Mhm.
some money too.
Yeah.
Um, I started charging a super small fee, just to kind of like keep myself going. And
Yeah.
I remember that was right before fall, and where I live, fall gets super busy with photographers.
Oh
We
yeah.
have the aspen trees, and they turn yellow, so like people get
Yeah.
crazy
Beautiful.
to get family pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then by the fall of the same year, so I would say like the process took about 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So by the fall, I was pretty booked out, and then I could charge more because I learned what I needed to learn. And then I got a lot of clients uh, in that in October of 2022.
Damn. Yeah.
Um, and then I feel like after that, I felt like, wow, I am really meant to do this. Like I felt absolutely joy. I met amazing people. My clients, honestly, I have the best clients. I can tell that. So it's just special to like capture different stories, and you meet new people and you share experience. So for me, it's one of the things that brings me the most joy is my job. And that's
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
started. And then from there, I started investing in new cameras, investing in new camera gear, like new lens to improve the quality of my work. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's how I started.
This a couple big takeaways for people listening to this incredible story is, first off, talking about working for free to build reviews, testimonials, learning. It's wild how there's so much. I'm starting in coaching people. I was so hesitant on doing this, and I'd find it like, well, I don't want to work for free, but I paid like 50 grand to go to college, and they didn't teach me shit about making money. And then I go out here and I worked with 100 people for free for Talk to Tanner. And I learned 1,000 times more just working for free. And it didn't, and what it cost me was my time. And it sounds like the same for you, just like getting in there, learning it. So I want to really emphasize that point for people is not be scared to, if you want to try something out, I think there's so many people who would love for you to come take some photos. A lot of my best photos are from some Joe Schmo at a national park and like, hey buddy, you mind just taking one photo for me, please? And then they're amazing. So it's like this like not being scared to just put yourself out there and really go for it. That's so cool. Talked about being outside. So we're continuing to improve on the photography company, but for those who do not know, Nataly, you're due here pretty soon. How have you been balancing being pregnant and working? And when do you kind of decide to stop? And like, what's that look like for you, like over the next year or whatever time frame that would be, right?
Right. So it's been really hard, physically and emotionally for me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm 39 weeks pregnant, so you can kind of imagine how big and heavy I am at this point. I
Yeah.
work full time outside. I do not have a studio, so my work is basically walk, walk, walk.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very busy during the fall. So like between mid September all the way to end of November, I was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely booked out. This year was crazy, and I'm very grateful for that. But I some days I had like 5 clients a day, and then sometimes I didn't even have time to come back home to have lunch until the next client. So like all the locations I photo shoot are usually at least 15 minutes away from my house.
Yeah.
So like it was absolutely crazy. So on the weekends, my husband would come with me just to kind of like give him his support, or if I felt some pain or if I needed something, he was there because this particular location was photo shooting during the fall, the high fall season. It was pretty far away. It was like in the middle of a mountain, super far away. So like I was pregnant. So he would come with me, but I also had clients during the week too, and my husband was working, so I kind of just had to keep myself together and do it. It was very hard because
Yeah.
walk with this big belly can be very painful. My back was gone, simply gone. But I kind of kept pushing myself. I was like, "You can do it. You can do it. You can do it." And I'm a very strong person, so I did everything. I went to all my sessions. Thankfully, I never had any problem,
Yeah.
health issue, or any pain. Just
Yeah.
tried to keep myself hydrated as much as I could. And then, my job is like half outside, half inside because then I have to do all the editing,
Mm-hmm.
the deliver all the galleries in time. So I would just not, I was like in a non-stop cycle. I would leave,
Yeah.
photo shoot, come back, edit, leave, photo shoot, come back, edit. So I was living like that from September all the way to the end of November.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I would take my last client in December 3rd, and that'll be it.
Mm-hmm.
Which was really hard for me emotionally to take this break because I just absolutely love my job, and being at home
Amazing.
doing nothing. It's being like difficult because you have uh, all this anxiety from having a new baby. It's just a lot of feelings happening at the same time.
Totally.
um, it's like closing a chapter, opening a new chapter in your life. Being a
Mm-hmm.
parent, it's something that I experienced for the first time, which I'm very nervous and excited about.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like organize all these thoughts and these feelings in my head is being a little bit difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm doing it. One thing I love to do and I really recommend is journal. I think journal is
Yeah.
very important to kind of like organize your ideas, your feelings. So I've been journaling a lot now that I have time.
Yeah.
But I did something crazy this week. that I had like a last minute client reaching out and be like, hey, you're going to be available today. I was like, you know what? I would do it. And then I'm 39 weeks pregnant. So it was really difficult to walk. And I don't think I had like idea how difficult that would be until I did it.
Yeah.
So I explained to him, I was like, hey, like we're going to have to walk slow. I'm 39 weeks pregnant. So it was kind of funny, but he was totally understanding.
Yeah.
And then my client was like 2 days ago. So
Yeah.
but that was definitely my last one. I mean, I can't handle much more at this point. So yeah.
This that's so incredible. So you're gonna take a while off, just kind of play it by ear, see how you're feeling, see how it's going, kind of transition. Like you said, it's a completely new chapter, so it's pretty hard to like plan around that. Is that kind of like what you're gonna do? Is kind of just play it by ear? Or?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about taking a month and a half off. So I am really planning on coming back to work
Yeah,
by the
pretty
end of
quickly.
January. Yeah, by the end of January. Just because like we get a lot of snow here, and then a lot of people come from Phoenix looking for photographers to kind of get some photo shoot going on the snow with family. So I mean, it's a slow season, but you can also find a lot of clients.
Yeah.
So I already started scheduling clients for the end of January. February, I'm almost booked out. So like I'm excited to go back, but at the same time, I know I need this short break to bound with my baby, and then just
Yeah.
recover and kind of adapt myself in this new life that I will
Yeah.
have to leave. And but I'm planning on going back in end of January, and then um, my husband works from home, which helps in case I need him to watch the baby. My parents are staying here for a little bit to kind of help us out with all
Yeah.
this transaction. So yeah.
A lot of support. I mean, it's nobody does it by themselves, and it's really incredible. But like you said, I mean, girl, you're a total badass. It's really inspiring to see, and I'm sure for so many people, I'm sure there's a lot of women out there specifically that are like, I'm scared to do this because I have this going on, or like, I don't know if I can, or all of these, like you said, journaling, using that to like clear your mind. What's some of the key like learning lessons that you've had from your like self learning from journaling? What are you learning about yourself?
I think I would say my mind's pretty noisy, like pretty busy. I feel like I have
Yeah.
10,000 thoughts at the same time.
Hmm.
And putting all of those thoughts in a piece of paper really helps me kind of like separate them and understand why I'm feeling this way because that happened. So I think just to kind of like organize my thoughts and my feelings and my frustrations, I really like to journal every time I feel kind of overwhelmed um,
Yeah.
or angry, or like, I like to understand why I feel the way I feel. So I think self knowledge, maybe like understanding more my thoughts, the type of thoughts I have and why they happen. I think putting in a paper really helps me just because
Yeah.
I'm a little bit anxious all the time. So I'm always like, oh, what am I going to do? And then I kind of try to solve 10 problems together instead of like
Hmm.
listing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people go through the same problem. Like our
Of course.
society kind of make us think
Go,
fast
go,
all the
go.
time. Yeah, and like we don't really slow down for a second to kind of just like breathe and be like, okay, what can I do today to make my day better? What can I do today to clear
Mhm.
my mind? Or, maybe take a day off, which I struggle with that. And I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people do too, to kind of like uh, put something towards yourself, put some time towards yourself. Like, I don't feel great today. So I would take the day off and, treat myself good. And I don't know, watch a movie, go for a walk, do some exercise. I think we are always in a rush, for money
100%.
and work. So
Yep.
I try as much as I can to, be like, okay, when it's time to slow down, I will slow down and that's okay. I think it
Yeah.
was pretty.
Giving ourselves permission. It's so wild. It seems like we're just so bottled up and ready to just explode either on one side or the other. You have the people over here who are so petrified by fear they can't move an inch. And then you have people over here, such as yourself, we're 39 weeks pregnant and like can't, and you still can't stop because you're like still going, taking photos and getting shit done, which is very commendable. But we got to make sure that life's about harmony and balance, right? And
Absolutely.
taking
That
care
way
of
you can
ourselves.
be healthy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, this section we're going to go into some coaching questions with Nataly, so you guys get a little bit better idea of who she is and how she's doing, and then additionally see me a bit in action. So we got some questions here. Excuse me, scratchy throat. So we're going to start with just some powerful questions. I want to ask you, what is one thing that you love about yourself? What is one thing that you love about yourself?
One thing I love about myself, it's like how I love to put myself in new situations. So like how much I love to explore new things or jump in something new and crazy. Start a new chapter. I don't know. I'm obsessed with like starting new things and learning. So that's something that keeps me going for sure.
That's so commendable. That's incredible. Put yourself out there. Do you have a number one goal for 2024?
I do. I think my biggest goal is like become a mom, learn as much as I can about motherhood, and I don't know, this is all new for me. And I also would say like try to conciliate my personal life, my motherhood with my work. I want to start doing weddings next year. Photo shoot weddings.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And trying to like do that with a child at home, I don't know how hard or not will be. So that's definitely one big goal I have for 2024.
That's awesome. So this one I want to ask you. So I want to get down. What are your top 3 accomplishments in life so far? What are your top 3 accomplishments?
I would say move to another country. I think that was definitely, that was my top one. I would say having my own business and making it my full-time job. I think that was very important to me. And becoming a mom, that's something that was not in my plans for now, and it happened, and now I'm very excited.
Wow. Just sometimes taking the time to, and if it's cut off from the screen, folks, you can see move to America, starting her own business, becoming a mother. You've come a really long way, and
I did.
it's really inspiring to be able to know you and hear so much about you. So it's just so you know, a lot of people are going to be looking up to you and your story, and it's just getting started, folks, and we're just getting ramped up. That's so cool. Well, I'm going to go overhead. Is there anything else you want to talk about today, Nataly? Is there anything that you want to let the folks know about yourself and what you have going on?
I don't think so. I would say just kind of like if you were feeling stuck in life and if you don't know where to start, just do it. Wake up, put your thoughts in the paper, make a plan and go from there. I would tell you to like, I don't know, follow your dreams. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like we should all like, make moves and kind of leave the box. Leave your 9 to 5 if you need to. Move to another country, start a new business, or I don't know, anything that brings you joy, I guess. Life is just one, and one thing I always think about is like when you're 80 years or when you're super old, do you want to feel proud or do you want to be like, oh, I should have done so many things that I didn't? You don't want to regret anything. So just think about yourself 40 years from now or 50 years from now, and give that person everything you can. So once you get old, you're like, okay, I lived a good life. I'm ready. You know, I did everything I wanted to do. I am very accomplished. So yeah.
Damn, girl. Yeah, that's it. That's so true and so beautiful. I thank you again for coming on, Nataly. Stick around for a little bit. I'll be talking to you after the show as we bounce out of here. But you guys make sure to go check out Nataly here at her. We're going to have her Facebook links in the description and additionally in the comment section, or give her a follow on Instagram. Good luck getting on that busy schedule, though. It's filling up quick. So awesome. You guys have an incredible, incredible day. In case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're badass. You got this. Follow your dreams, and let's keep rocking and rolling. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out, friends. Have a good one.